Oh, it's Tuesday. What's that? Two pods in 2 days. We got a lot of momentum going on this week. I got Syd Jones today, but before I get to my special guest, Syd, let me do this first. Let me do a little monologue. So we all have a life that we live, and we have an identity, and some of us quickly find our identity. We find our voice, and we run with it. But many of us struggle finding that identity. We struggle finding that voice because you have something inside of you, but you may not be confident enough to let it out. Maybe it's because, you haven't been validated in that space. Or maybe the people around you are telling you that you're supposed to be somebody. You're supposed to be a certain way. You're supposed to act a certain way. You're supposed to do certain things. And all the while, you don't feel it. You know it's not you, but you continue to do it because it makes those around you happy. And then one day you finally look in the mirror and you say, shit, what am I doing? I'm not happy. This ain't me. And nobody even knows that this isn't me because they've told me who I'm supposed to be all this time. And I did it for them. And then at some point, you have that awakening, and not only do you realize that you're not being yourself, you take the actions to become yourself, and you become confident in that person. It doesn't matter what the other people say, what the other people think. You just do you. And then you realize that those around you who really rock with you. And even some of those people who were on the fringes, they become closer because they say, you know what, I've seen this in you forever. And I'm so happy you're finally letting it out. And I'm like, bro, why didn't you tell me that when you saw it? Well, I didn't know what was going on in your head, and I was letting you do you. And I've struggled with that. And my guess is something that we're going to talk about that today, about finding yourself and finding your voice. But before that, hey, it's the big baby. And I'm back. Hey, Syd, what's happening?
What's up? How you doing?
Not too bad, just another great day in the central coast region of California. Got me a good lift in, got my forgive gear on, shout out to the Niblet family, let them know we repping the Ville and forgiveness out here. How
Right.
are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I got off work, came here, got home and was excited to, do this interview with you. So I'm good.
I appreciate you. I'm so happy we've been able to do this. We were talking before about how this is maybe our fifth conversation ever. Um, but lived in the same city. Well, shit, until you graduated from high school. Then I graduated from
Mhm.
high school, and we both were living in Atlanta
Right.
and
And I didn't even know
running.
that.
Right. I was just in the shower thinking about it. And I was like, I hope as more people leave the Ville and go to Atlanta, especially the students, everybody don't have no car. And
Right.
just having those conversations about the carpool home for like the weekends when you know you're going home, right?
That's
And
it.
because there's nothing worse than having to wait on somebody to come pick you up from Cartersville after they get off from work, but you've been done with class since one.
Right.
But, I opened up talking about finding yourself and finding your voice.
Hmm.
And I know that's going to kind of be the theme of this conversation today. So, for you, who is Syd Jones?
Well, I'm still finding myself. I feel really confident right now. So, I'm just somebody that's from the Ville that is trying to, live out these visions that I have in my head and tell my story in hopes that, you know, somebody that's going through the same things as me, feels seen and just knows that they can get through whatever they're going through. So, me, I'm just laid back. Like you said, we've only had like 5 conversations. So, I used to be super quiet. At this point in my life, I'm opening up. If you ever caught me at a bar in the last 5, 10 years, you'll see that I do talk. It's not just, quiet Syd all the time, but I feel like I'm coming out of my shell, and I'm just really excited about that. I feel good. So, that's just me.
So let's talk about Syd from the Ville a little bit.
Hmm.
And Syd from the Ville is Sydney Jones, not Syd Jones, right?
Exactly.
Number 3 basketball player, right?
Hmm.
And that's kind of who you were known to be from somebody like me who went to school across town. And like I said, we were in a lot of the same rooms, same gyms, but not necessarily in the same circles. Do you miss hooping?
I do. I do. I was just talking about this the other day. Like, I miss going to a gym and just shooting because I love to shoot. But yeah, I miss hooping
And that kind of became, like I said, your identity. But
with the ponytail.
yeah, with the ponytail. I was gonna go there, but I was like, let me not. But yeah, with the long orangish reddish, light skin ponytail back there. And
Exactly.
that's who a lot of people saw you as, but it was so much more. Can you talk about what was really going on, like underneath that shell, or maybe we should say underneath the ponytail?
Oh my gosh, it was so much going on. Like down to um, you know, my mom, I've talked to her about this before, but like, sharing her story and telling her like her past is not who she is today. But a lot of people didn't know. I mean, I'm showing up to those games and having to put on my game face, but there's things going on at home that nobody knows about. Like, for instance, I can think about a time where it was a drug bust going on, and I'm ironing my warm ups for the game. And I have to go to my game not knowing whether or not, like, is my mom going to jail? Like, what's going on? And it's just a crazy situation because even some of those police that were like at the games, you know how there would be police at the games?
Hmm.
Like, I just remember seeing one of them's face and then him being there at our apartment before all this is going down. And it was just weird because even after that, he would come back to the games, and I'm like, whole time he's seeing me play and know that they got these plans of doing a drug bust. So it was just really a lot of things going on that people didn't know were going on. And, I feel like people look at me and my sisters and think, and I hate to say this because it's like it goes back to that whole colorism thing, but you see a light skinned girl, good hair. And I don't even think about that when I look at myself. But
But
you know,
but you also have to throw.
think we got it made, and that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? So, but go ahead.
And you throw in the colorism thing because you also have to throw in there pretty light skinned girls with good hair because there's some ugly light skinned girls with good hair out there, and we ain't talking about them.
Right,
But
right. So, and I hate to throw that in there because, like, I really don't see that with me. We're people. Like, I hardly even look in the mirror. So it's just like, I mean, I'm just me going through the things I'm going through. But a lot of times, like, people don't know my story. So, they're just looking at me like, oh, she's stuck up and she hasn't made. And it's like, whole time I'm quiet just because I got all this shit going on. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I don't want to talk to you or you or you. And it's like, it's some shit going on. This shit is not superficial. It's not what you just see. It's some shit going on the inside. So
that's really interesting because for the longest I thought you and your sister were stuck up. But again, I didn't know y'all like that.
stupid.
And once I actually got in a room with your sister, because your sister and Melisha were super cool,
Oh
and
yeah.
that used to be the hangout spot. Uh, for my year and younger, y'all didn't really hang out there unless people were over there to have fun. But but like that was like a little hangout spot. And I'll tell you a funny story about
What
your
was the
sister,
hangout spot?
Melisha's house in the Waterford.
Okay, okay.
And I'll tell you a story about your sister when we're done here. I'm not gonna tell it on here, but after being around her in those environments, I'm like, oh no, Lindsay just cool as hell. We say she's stuck up
Right.
because she's salty as hell, and she ain't fucking with none of us. But she's actually just a cool, down to earth.
Right. And that goes back to just getting to know the person and having conversations and, not just judging a book by its cover, because it's like, people be cool out here. It ain't all just, I don't know what we think sometimes, but we're still human. Cause like, I still look at people and have these things going on in my head. And it's like, let me get to know them first, whatever.
As someone who has looked at myself and definitely like improved on some of my character flaws, one of the biggest things that I've gotten from people who knew me when I was younger was, I thought you were an asshole. And I'm like, no, I am an asshole, but I'm also a nice, kind, considerate person.
Right.
But I was the black ass kid with fucked up teeth. So, and I made good grades.
I only know you from Mount Zion because my grandmama's house is right across from Mount Zion.
Right. So, and again,
I'm thinking you this good ass church kid the whole time you turning up.
Exactly. So I got framed as the church kid, the kid who made these good grades, and it's all of this stuff is very true about me. But there's another side of my personality that I don't necessarily get to show in all of these environments, whether it's I'm comfortable enough to do it and this, that, and the third. And then you finally get to a place to where it's like, oh, no, bro, you cool as hell because I finally kicked it with you. And I go, yes. And I've always been this way, but you don't know that because you see everything from a distance. And one thing that always bothered me about the older generation was these old people would brag on me. It's like, thanks. I appreciate it.
Bruh, you used to make me look bad because I don't know if you remember Ed that lived across the street too.
Yeah, I remember Ed.
Bro, I'd be walking home, back when like Nelly and them was popping, and I used to roll one pants leg up. And he'd be like, "Man, you need to be in church with everybody else." I'm thinking them kids bad as hell too. Like, you judge me because I ain't in church, but them kids bad.
And here's the thing, though. I used to be hating because you and Ty would be at your grandmama's house, and Ty
was playing dodgeball while y'all
right. And we over there at church. It's like, bro, I don't even want to be over here. Like, I don't even know them. I just want to go across the street because they playing.
Exactly. That's funny as hell.
But damn, R.I.P. to Ed Johnson. Ed Johnson was an interesting man. He told me one of these.
He was a player, though.
You said it, not me. One of the funniest things Ed Johnson said. I was 18 years old, and we were going to a lock-in at the church, which they should never have lock-ins at churches for 18-year-olds, but neither here nor there. Ed says, pussy hard to get when you're young. And I'm sitting and I'm like,
influence.
But at 18, I'm like, this man don't know what he's talking about. Like, you know what I mean? And then as life
told me I need to be in church, but he's talking to y'all like that.
Right. And then I get older, now I'm 29, and I go, yeah, it was much harder to have sex 10 years ago than it is now. You was on to something, Ed.
See, like when he told me that, I didn't even feel bad because I just knew like he was a player. Like that's just what it was. Like you sitting here telling me something. I need to be in church, but you a player. So now you're confirming it all. So
the church.
But rest in peace to Ed, because I did love Ed.
Yeah, love Ed Johnson. So let's get back to you a little bit and your shyness, right? And you talked about you had so much going on at home. You had so much inside of you that you didn't know how to let out. You didn't let out. Is that why you ultimately were a pretty shy person and you like kept it shut down?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that I also just, me being the oldest sibling, I took on a lot that, I wasn't even really trying to take on. It's just my nature because I feel like I'm a caring person. I want to make sure everybody's good. I just took that on and I'm still that way. But now that I'm older, I realize that I can create boundaries. So back then being a child, I think I had so much inside of me that I didn't know what to say. And then my dad is a good person. But sometimes I didn't know how to have a conversation with him. So if I said something, because I'm trying to get a reaction out of him, I'm trying to get some attention here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting any reaction from him. So that ultimately left me thinking that everything I'm saying, I mean, I'm not getting a reaction. So let me just shut up. If you get what I'm saying, that kind of goes back to that whole childhood trauma thing and like what I'm going to therapy for, because I realized that same little kid, that person in me shows up, you know, in my relationship, in my friendships, and um, it makes me kind of conform into this person that that's not really me. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking that I don't have a voice because I'm trying to get my dad's attention and all of these things by, you know, just being goofy, being funny, just being myself. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not getting a reaction out of him. But, you know, now that I'm older, I realize that he went through a lot. So, you know, as you get older, you realize and you understand that it wasn't me. It was, he had some stuff going on. So I think all that had to do with me just being a quiet person because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know that I had a voice. Because when I tried to have a voice, you know, I feel like I'm not being heard. So
Who, who's your social circle?
my social circle, first of all, I'm like an introvert, so like I'm cool with kicking it at home. But you know, like my friends, you know, I would hang out with Jessica Blackwell. You know, I got my cousins, Chris and Ty. Um, and it's some more people, you know, I've met some new friends, but yeah, so that's what that is. Like I don't hang with too many people. Like, um, so yeah, that's what that is.
That's so interesting. So at some point you decided to cut the ponytail
Cut the
and
ponytail.
and step out, right?
Step out. Yeah.
What well, first question, when did you know?
I knew what you was getting to.
And what got you
Oh,
comfortable enough to step out?
um, this is funny as hell. So I cut the ponytail and I started locking up. I think what had me comfortable was it's crazy because just like Lil Boosie say in that They Dyke song, you know, everybody play basketball. Then turned out everybody play basketball. I was hanging with a group of girls that you know, at this point we're 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
And all of us have the same interests. So it made it really like, okay, you know, this is what it is. But it's interesting because when I finally did come out, you know, as lesbian gay, my mom told me that her and my dad always thought that when I was a kid. But they, you know, they never said anything. So I think just being around the group of girls that I was around made me more comfortable to be myself. Um, and that's how it all happened. I remember, you remember MySpace?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously everybody on MySpace, but I had changed my page and, you know, everybody fixing their page up and putting songs. And I remember I had put that song, Lil Boosie, They Dyking, on my page.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school the next day, like, fuck it, I'm out. Like, that's it. And it was like everybody was talking about it, right? So, you know, I got past that and now, you know, here we are. It's just, you know, one of those things.
So when you were dating guys early on,
Hmm.
and again, we're young, we're kids. So you, when I say was your heart in it, that's a very loose thing because you don't really know when you're that young. But did
Right.
something ever feel off while you were in those situations? And no disrespect to the guys that you were with or anything
Right. No, no,
like
no.
that.
I mean, sometimes it'll feel off, but you got to think like I'm this person that I don't even know who I am. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, and it's crazy because I was just talking about this with somebody else this weekend, and I was like, I had a lot of little boyfriends. I ain't gonna lie, I had a lot of little boyfriends.
Yeah,
Um,
you had a little juice back in the day.
yeah, and it's funny because I would be mean to them, And I wasn't even trying to be mean. But, I'd be like, "Don't call, don't do this." Like, I was so controlling with it, and I'd be mean. But, yeah, I mean, I can't even really remember, but I just, you know, I don't know. It's crazy.
So so once you so once you took that step, how liberating was it internally? Like damn everybody else and what they say, but how
Right.
did you feel on the inside? Because I recently made a really important decision in my career that most people would tell me not to not do, right?
Mhm.
But I did it. I was
Mhm.
stressed before I did it. I felt it bearing down on me. I made the decision and I walked out of the office like a brand new person. I was like, oh my God, I can feel my chest again. Jesus Christ. Why the hell was I holding on to this for so long? I could have just made this decision months ago and would have felt so much better. So I did
Yeah.
it and I felt great. And I don't care what
Mhm.
anybody says about it. I can look back on it 15 years and be like, damn, I fucked up. But today, it was an amazing decision. Obviously, yours decision was a little bit different, but what did it feel like once you got to that point?
Um, it felt good, but honestly, that was so long ago that I think that I was going through so much that I didn't even get to feel that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to think we still at Cartersville High School, so if I change my wardrobe, I come in with baggy clothes, like I still feel judged as like a hoodlum. So it's like I don't know, it was weird. So I don't think I really got to experience that feeling then. But that was like so long ago. I can't even believe that, I've been out of high school 10 plus years. So that was long ago. I can't really remember that feeling.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
You find yourself at Georgia State after leaving Cartersville High School. Hey,
Yeah.
before we get there, who did you drop 43 on? And wasn't that your sophomore year?
It was definitely my sophomore year and it was Villa. So I feel like I was put in a position to shoot that night because a lot of our, key players were either injured or were out for disciplinary reasons. So I had to shoot. But yeah, it was Villa and they would that wasn't no easy team. Like Villa was rough
Yeah.
defensively. No,
Athletic
they
too.
really wasn't a good team, but they was in your face. You know what I'm saying? So it was Villa and it was my sophomore year. Yeah.
Shout out to my memory. See,
How'd you know that?
I used to read the
Sophomore
newspaper.
year. Oh, okay.
I always read the sports section, and then you just keep up with people. With you being a sophomore, getting all the shine that you were getting, and you were on a team with Tiffany and Demisha, and
Right.
you weren't supposed to score 43 points on the same
Right.
team.
And I think that night, I think Tiffany was out with an injury. Demisha was out for sure. And I remember Shirley, she was out. So, those were some key players, like, and I kind of just I had to shoot that night. So
Okay,
it put me in a position to do that.
so I can't score 43 on 2K, but so you end up at Georgia State after Cartersville High School.
Right.
And now you're thrust into a totally different city, a totally different environment. I had DJ Castronova, aka LD, aka Castro, or as I call him, Darius. But anyways, I had him on here, and he talked about when he made the move to the city from the Ville and how different it was. And same. I made the move the next year, and although you're 45 minutes away, you can go to the mall, you can go hang out in the city for a day or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
until you're living there, it's a totally different environment. What was that like for you?
I was loving it. I mean, first of all, I had a dorm room at the Commons at Georgia State, and
Oh, I would be jumping at Georgia State.
oh my gosh! So first of all, the first thing I'm thinking is I got my own fucking room. Finally, after all these years, I got my own fucking room. I got a door, like, I got my own room. So that was amazing. And then yeah, I mean, I just felt like I was close to everything. It was a really good feeling. the first year I was on the dean's list, second year not so much. I mean, at that point I started like really going to the clubs, like I was having fun. So it was a great time, coming from Cartersville, it was a great time.
And the thing that a lot of people don't understand about Atlanta as opposed to a lot of other big cities, you
Right.
can do damn near whatever you want at 18.
Exactly. So there you are going to college, but also, you're 18. So, you feel like an adult. You are a young adult. So,
Because, think about the Ville. There was not a place that we could guaranteed go on a Friday and a Saturday night to have a good time. Cafe Soul had its little run, and it was hit or miss, but everybody in there. But there
right.
was nothing in the city for us to go to. Now, then you move to Atlanta, and you can go somewhere Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 7 days of the week, you can go somewhere, and your 18-year-old ass can get in there, and they might put them big stupid X's on your hands, but all I'm going to do is go to the bathroom, wash them off, or I'm going to give the security guard $20 when I walk in, and
Huh? I said, oh, I ain't do that.
I'm a man, so it's a little bit different.
Right.
And I get a wristband, and now I'm drinking, and I'm drinking, and I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, and hell, I used to go to the liquor store all the time, no problems. I had more problems 21 buying alcohol than I did underage buying alcohol in the city. It's the wildest shit.
Right.
But it's a totally different environment, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I loved Atlanta, but I'll tell you, that's where I began getting comfortable with the person who I truly was and finding myself, because unlike a lot of these other surrounding areas, there's not many people from Cartersville who go to college in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you, honestly, the only reason I had went to Georgia State because like I didn't even know what I wanted to do. My best friend is, my cousin, Ty.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I'm going to Georgia State. And I'm like, I'm going to Georgia State too, because I don't even know what I want to do. So like, might as well just go to Georgia State. At least I'm going to college, you know what I'm saying? So went there with him, and like we just had the best time. You know what I'm saying? Like I stayed in the Commons. I was like on like floor 5 or 6, and like he's on floor 10. And like, we just having the best time. So I mean, that's literally the only reason that I went, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that I could fill out that financial aid FAFSA and go wherever the hell I wanted to go. So it didn't matter. But, that's literally the only reason that I went to Georgia State was because Ty was going. Because, like, he was so set on going. But me, I didn't know where I wanted to go. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just pick a place. I might as well go to Georgia State with you. He got a car, so that'll be my way back home. So I'm just, like, doing stuff. So, but it was fun, though. I'm glad I did go and get that experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we talked a little bit about me being the church kid and all this other shit. And the reason why I ended up at Morehouse and ended up comfortable there and ended up like making steps to be where I am now is, for the first time I was around a large group of Black men who cared about school, cared about sports, cared about social life and all this other stuff, and we could still go to church hungover on Sunday morning. And it's like, oh, there are people who are like me out here, because I had a small, like, my inner circle was super tight in high school. It was Jordan and Todd, because they were the most similar people to me. But everybody else was just they had different priorities, whether it was their own personal priorities or it was what was instilled in them in their house, just totally different priorities. So I'm like, I don't even know where like I fit in life, because I don't see people who look like me, who have similar interests, who do the same shit. And then finally I found that there, and that kind of led me here. So I realized at Morehouse that I wanted to talk into a microphone, and I didn't know how to get there. And I also didn't want to take the risk of not having a paycheck to do that then. And I'm not going to say I regret it, because I think that I have better experiences so I can create better content now, but I didn't get the early start on it. At what point did you realize you wanted to rap?
It's crazy because when I was at Georgia State, like Travis Porter and all them were big. So Wiz Khalifa, like I'm watching his vlogs, like they're just dope as hell. I get to see these people like doing their thing and just having fun. So I realized at Georgia State, but because I feel like I had so much fear in me becoming like going from a quiet person to now putting, just being out, I still had to work on some stuff within myself. So I remember being at Georgia State and being like, finding the interest and being like, man, like I really want to do this. And then left Georgia State, came back home, and really I didn't even come back to Cartersville. I went to Somerville to stay with my other grandma because it was just more space there. Started working at Lowe's,
Mm-hmm.
the spot in Adairsville, that big place, that distribution center, and I met this guy named Big Fam. And I just felt comfortable, and I think it's just because he was somebody that wasn't from Cartersville that I felt like could judge me from who they thought I was. And we just started talking about music, and next thing I know, like we're both going to like his homeboy's house and recording a song. So I can't even remember what year that was. I feel like it was either 2015 or 2016. But I remember finding the interest at Georgia State because like Travis Porter and Wiz Khalifa, they were just blowing up, and I was watching a lot of their stuff, and it just seemed so fun. But I think it was all perfect timing because back then it was fun. Like I said, Travis Porter wasn't rapping about anything deep, but obviously I seen that it was just fun. You know what I'm saying? Like watching their little freestyles and all that. So I feel like it was perfect timing because I didn't know what I was really even going to rap about. And I think the the first song that I did is Still Up with Big Fam, like on SoundCloud. And it was to Busta Rhymes, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. It was like
Okay.
over that beat. And that's the first thing I ever did. And I feel like it's still on SoundCloud. But I was saying some stuff, but I wasn't saying the things that I'm saying now. So, I felt like it was all perfect timing with me figuring out like who I am and, who am I gonna be? What story am I gonna tell? So, but that's where I found the interest, like at Georgia State, I remember just seeing all this stuff going on and I'm like, that looks cool. So
Okay, so you start rapping, and I've told you, I think I told you pre-production. If not, I told you another day. And if I didn't tell you, my bad, but I've told other people that I enjoy your music because it's grown folks music.
mhm.
Um I put you and LaDon,
Yeah.
shout out to
Look,
Swag.
LaDon.
I put y'all in the same category of not because y'all actually have done songs together, and I know both of y'all, but because y'all are rapping for your age group. Actually, y'all are not talking about flexing and bands and Ferragamo and all that other stuff. Which, if that's what you choose to rap about, if that's your lifestyle, that's fine. Not my lifestyle,
Right.
but you all talk about things that I can personally relate to. And as someone who doesn't listen to a lot of music, when I find myself listening to music, especially ensuring that I'm supporting people that I know by buying their albums, buying, not streaming, buying. You got to go buy the album on iTunes. You can stream it, that's fine, but you got to go buy it first. At least buy it. Give them the money. Um,
Yeah.
when I listen to y'all's music, I go, they're talking about stuff, and I almost feel like I have a better appreciation for it because they started later in life, and because they've lived a little bit, they've had experiences, they've gotten to the point to where they're comfortable talking about those experiences. Because if you rapping about hoes and chains, as I have on 3 Chains, I don't want to listen to that.
Right.
you know but as a shy person with so much on your heart, and it's laid out all through your music, what made you comfortable enough to start being vulnerable in the booth?
I think that the more, remind you, I can't go back and listen to my old stuff. So the stuff from Jones Street, Blue Period, I don't even listen to that because it's like a cringe moment for me because I'm like, you know. So right now, you know,
Real quick, we'll hear something funny. So you say that, and I'm gonna be introducing a co-host soon to the podcast, right?
right.
So I went back and listened to some old pods from like 2 years ago, back when I had a co-host.
Of you?
Yes.
Okay.
Terrible.
Cringe.
I was like, ew.
Exactly.
How do people listen to this shit? This shit was terrible.
I don't know.
But
I'm at my cousin's right now, and he played a song from the Blue Period a while ago, and I was just like, bruh, like I don't listen to this. And he's just like, man, I got all your stuff, and I'm just like, I don't listen to this. Like, it's a cringe moment for me because I guess I get to where I'm at now, and I got visions from the Ville, and you know, in the moment I'm like, it's great, but hell, next project I put out, I might not even listen to Visions from the Ville, you know, because I feel like I'm evolving so much and getting more and more comfortable. So to go back to your question, I think that me getting comfortable comes from me just being transparent. Because I think that I realized over time that everybody is human. Like, you know, as we get older, we got Facebook, everybody's putting their business out there and, you know, going through all this dumb stuff. I'm like, man, these people going through so much. Like, I'm human. And, you know, I talk about my mom a lot and the things that she goes through. Well, I don't talk about it a lot, but I know I mentioned in songs and, you know, she was a little upset. But like I told her, like, I'm just telling our story. So it's like, you know, don't be ashamed. Like, people going through stuff all the time. Like, don't get caught up in Cartersville. You're going to be on the Bartow 411 page mugshot. And it's like, I've seen a couple people on there, but it's like, you know, we all go through things. And it's like, at this point in my life, like, I don't care who says anything about me because it's like, everybody's going through something. And we're all human. So I think that's what helped me get more comfortable in there. And of course, just doing it over time, you know, you just get more comfortable. So,
you know, and you talk about your mom, and shout out to you for not allowing other people to stifle your creativity and allowing you to tell your story, right?
right.
So I went through a phase where I thought I wanted to do stand-up, and I was writing jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, your best jokes come from your experience.
Comedians are storytellers too. Like, I've been watching stand up and I'm just like, you know, they got to be creative too. It's like a story. It's like rap. You know, you got to figure out, you know, what story are you telling and what story are you going back to, you know?
Yeah. And so much of what I was writing was coming from my childhood, coming from stories that my mom told me, or stuff that happened with my mom and shit like that. And she's like, if you ever go on stage, all I ask is you don't say anything that might embarrass our family. And I go, oh, well, see, I got this notebook full of stories about the family. Am I going to call the family's name? No, I wrote it.
That's all you know, though. So how can you not get up there and talk about that? That's your experience.
And the reason why I haven't done it, because I haven't gotten comfortable enough with her to tell her, hey, Sharon, this is what I'm doing. I don't care how you feel about it.
Not a Sharon.
I mean, I don't really call her Sharon to her face, but I only call her Sharon when she's not around. And she doesn't listen to my podcast, so she's not around. But it's like, hey, I'm going to do this because guess what? So many people can relate to this because I tell these stories to people, whether it's in private or just random people that I meet. And they like the story. And I go, do you not understand what these stories can do for people who are going through things?
My advice to you is just do it. She'll be all right.
You know what? I give people that advice.
She'll be all right.
I talk to young people when they're talking about where to go to college, what they want to do with their life. And I say, do what makes you happy because your family's going to love you no matter what. And if you make a decision for them, you could find yourself in a career 10 years later and you can regret it.
Yeah, and I mean, you telling these stories could put you in a place where, you end up taking your whole family on vacation. It'll be all right.
You're right. So let's get back to you and your vulnerable raps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I think in order to be vulnerable in rap, you have to be a vulnerable person.
True.
And you're shy. And most shy people don't really talk to nobody about what the hell they got going on. We know you didn't talk to people about what was going on because you've talked about it. And maybe that's what gave you that laser focus on the court. How did you get comfortable just talking about your stuff? Was it a specific event that pushed you over, or was it going to therapy, which you've talked about in your music? Just what got you to that place?
Oh my gosh. I mean, just over the years, feel like I've been finding myself, but I have to shout out to my partner because, she is in TV and, she sells master classes on how to tell your story. And I think being with her and her always telling me, like, tell your story, you're great. Like, she instilled a lot of confidence in me to tell my story, So I have to give a shout out to her, Diamond Williamson, because she's just so great and she is very understanding of, you know, people and what they go through in life. And, you can't come halfway. You have to, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it. And she has really just inspired me to tell my story, my full story, you know. And she's a person that's told her own story. So, just seeing her be vulnerable and what it did for her, it inspired me, to tell my story. So I think that's where I just became really vulnerable. Like, it's all or nothing, You can't hold back.
And I'm happy that you're telling your story because, for one, it's a story that needs to be told, and you hit a lot of real life topics that people are going through. Y- some of your music is dark-ish, but it's not coming from a dark place, right? It's
Right.
that it's hear, hear me out. When's the last time you gotten a massage?
The last time, probably 2 months ago.
Okay, so you get you know how when you get a massage, you leave the massage parlor, wherever you go to get your massage from,
Right.
feeling worse than you were
Oh,
when
feeling worse. You feel
well,
worse.
hold on, hear me out. Like you get all that soreness and shit that you didn't even know was there because it's been so tight for so long
Okay.
that you've like adapted to that level of pain that's there, but you get the massage, you go, oh wow, this does this here. I'm sore, but damn it, yes, I needed that. Thank you, right?
Hmm.
So I look at your music in the same way because when I listen to your music, it makes me think about things in my life that I don't want to think about, things that I've buried, things that I've forgotten about. And I go, oh shit, I lived through this. I've not actually fully closed out this chapter of my life, but I've definitely walked away from it. And I need to just shut this door.
Hmm.
And that's what I love most about your music. You talk about how you don't like to listen to Blue Period, but you you talk about your song Purposes, right?
Oh, Purpose is, I'll go back and listen to Purpose.
Okay.
But all the other stuff.
So I listened to that right before we got on because I just had your music playing because it's what I like to do when I'm interviewing artists, like listen to the music and then right before let me listen to some more music, let me grab some little one-liners here and there. And you talk about like what's your purpose? What what do you think your purpose is?
I think that my purpose is continuing to rap and tell these stories and the experience that I've been through to help other people, because there's so many people that after I release this stuff, they hit me up and like, man, you don't know, like I'm going through this, you know, I'm going through all these things, and I was listening to your music, and it's the words that just made me realize, just got me through. So it's all the confirmation for me that it's like, okay, this is my purpose, because I think I posted the other day, I had this moment where I realized, like, we think about our career path and where it can take us and all the things that we can get from that, the big house and all these things that we want. But I realized I had this moment where this voice, it was God or either it was me, like, telling me that it's not about you. And I just had this moment where I'm like, man, like, this is my purpose. It's not about me. Like, those things are gonna come, but I have to do my job and make sure that I'm being true to myself and telling my story so that these people can hear it and realize, like, we're all going through the same things. It's okay. Like you said, I talk about things that you don't want to think about, but it's like, obviously those things meant something to you, and you don't want to think about them, but you realize, like, I'm going through that. Like, it's still something that's on my mind that I need to get to. So for me, that's my purpose, is to continue telling these stories and sharing my experiences in life, hoping to reach people that are going through the same things, to let them know, like, we're going to get through it. Because that's the thing. Like, I go back and listen to this stuff, like Visions from the Ville, and I'm like, I'm talking to myself. So a lot of people may think I'm preaching and trying to tell them don't do this, do that. But like, I'm talking to myself. Like, I go through shit daily. So I think that is my purpose.
I think it's your purpose too, and depending on how you answered your question, I was gonna spin it to that, because as I was listening to that song, I gave it, like, when it played through, and then I was like, hold on, let me start this over, because I'm actually hearing something that I want to kind of hit on in the conversation, because like I've told you 3 times in this interview how your music makes me feel when I listen to it, and I know I'm not the only person who feels that way,
Right.
and for one, that shit's dope. Two, when you put out your videos explaining some of your songs, and you were explaining a song for my sisters. Let me tell you, full transparency. I was hating like hell, because I I had mapped out an interview for you before I even hit you up.
Let me tell you that I thought about all this, that we were supposed to do this interview a week back or 2 weeks back, week and a half. I can't really remember, but I had so much stuff going on. I had to reschedule with you.
Yeah.
So those videos that I posted explaining the songs, I'm like, I hope this doesn't interfere with some of the questions that he had to ask me, because I'm explaining the songs. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that, because literally I thought about that.
I appreciate you. And when I saw it, I go, God damn it, I wanted to talk about this shit. But
I knew.
But we're still gonna talk about it, because
like I said, I think you're a great person. I think you ask a lot of questions that people don't ask. So
I appreciate that.
I was like, he'll be all right.
And you told me that privately one day, and that's when I really knew I could fuck with you. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. I think this is your purpose. You know what I'm saying? I think that you are the male Oprah from the Ville. You ask questions that people don't ask.
I ain't giving out free calls though, but thank you. So when you made that song, right? You had to go deep. You had to go deep into your bag to find the words, to make the words make sense, then also make the words make sense over a beat. And in the interview, because I listened to it, so I could make sure that I asked my questions the right way, you talked about how you thought about springing it on your sisters and letting it just come out. I'm so happy you didn't do that, because if I was your sister, I'd be like, come on, bro. Like, I ain't mad at you for putting it out, but at least let me, you know what I mean? At least let me hear it so I'm prepared for what's coming.
Right.
So What was that process like when you were making that song? Because you talked about how they listened to it and cried, and I can imagine that if you were actually using pen and paper, which I don't know your process. We'll get to that. There may have been some tears, and you had to like dab on the paper and then skip a line just so you didn't fuck nothing up. You know what I mean? What was it like writing that song?
It was tough. Like I said in that video, I was on my way to work and I listened to beats on my way to work sometimes,
Mhm.
and I heard the beat, and before the words even came, like tears started rolling because, like I said, I feel like I have these visions, and before the song is even written, I feel like, I already know what I'm gonna say. I already know the gist of what I'm gonna say as far as like, my sister Haley not having her dad, my
Mhm.
sister Lindsay, going to dance and strip, and it's just like, why are you doing that? But at the same time, I can't say nothing because you need money. So I knew the gist of what I wanted to talk about. So when I heard the beat and I was on my way to work, like I literally dropped a few tears because it's like, I love them so much. um so, of course, I get to work and I'm busy as hell, so I can't really write the full song. I'm at work, so I get home and I don't know if it was that day or the days that passed, but I'm writing that song, and at that point, once I'm in the book, I'm writing. It's work, but I did have the emotional moment thinking about the song and knowing what emotions it would bring out of them. So it was emotional. Even after I finished it, I recorded and the engineer sends it back. That's one song that I just didn't even want to listen to before I dropped it because I'm like, I don't even want to get emotional again. So that was that. It was emotional, but I felt like it needed to be said.
So back when you were younger, who would win in a fight? You or Lindsay?
Who what?
When you and Lindsay would fight, who used to win?
I used to win. No, she's bigger than me though, for real. But I remember this one fight. I just want to say this because I think this got cut in that video that you was watching.
Hmm.
But I talked about how, my mama worked third shift and it would just be us at home. And Lindsay chased me around with a hammer. And I had to lock myself in the room. I mean, in the bathroom, the half bathroom downstairs. And, we used to go at it. And, I think we get along better now that we are not living together. That's just with anybody. Like, you get a roommate, like somebody that's your best friend, and y'all living together, and you realize, like, this person is annoying because y'all live together. So now that we don't live together, we get along. But yeah, we used to go at it.
So you talked about her dancing in in the song, so I can bring it up here.
Yeah, you
What
good.
what was that like for you as the big sister, coming from a conservative town, and obviously understanding the back end and what she's getting, understanding what else, understanding more about what your sister has to offer besides a beautiful face and a nice body, and like what was it like for you internally, and what was y'all's conversation like about it?
I don't think I even said nothing to her because at this point I'm just like, Lindsay does what she wants to do, you know, like, because I had been playing that role for so long, oldest sibling. I'm trying to fill the shoes of others that are, there but kind of absent mentally, that can't really tell you like you don't need to be doing this. Um, so I think I first found out like through Instagram, like she posted a picture and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like what? Nobody don't nobody need to be seeing all this. Like, what? What are you doing?
I
So,
was ready to pull up when I saw that picture on Instagram.
man, see, exactly. So I'm just like, you don't need to be doing all this. And I'm just thinking about where she is mentally because like Lindsay is smart. I don't think people understand that like Lindsay was in honor classes in high school. Like Lindsay can write.
Bro, she
Lindsay
tried to hit me with that honors class flex one time we were in high school. Like we were
legit.
around somebody, And people was talking shit. You know, I went to Cass, so she only knows me as an extension of Jordan at that point in time. And I said some smart ass shit. And she
Right.
said about I'm in honors class. Like, yeah, I'm in honors and AP classes too. Like, nigga, who you talking to?
Yeah.
Why we didn't get along early on because I got to
Right.
eat. But
Yeah. I get it. So, that's the thing that I was thinking about is like, you're so smart. Like, you could do so much. So when I seen that, I was just like, what are you doing? But at the same time, like I said in the song, like I can't say nothing because I know that you need money. Like our parents were not, we weren't those college kids that's just getting like a check every week. Hell, getting the refund was like hitting the lottery. You know what I'm
boy,
saying? And that shit came on time because it was right before Pride weekend for me. So I'm hitting Lennox up like, I'm getting the whole fit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be at Piedmont Park fresh.
mhm.
So, I couldn't say anything, but I was disappointed. But, that's something that I would never tell her because it's like she is just a product of her circumstances. And I'm glad that she is not has got past that.
That's good. Yeah, I saw an Applebee's while I was home back in December. It was nice to see Lindsay. So
Really?
some you talked about pride and going and all of that, but I've also seen for a while you've been a big LGBTQ plus. If I miss something, please don't hang me. Oh wow, I can't say hang
Hey,
me.
I don't.
But you know,
Oh,
please
well.
don't charge to my head and not my heart. So
Right. I don't even know it all. I think I just got the, you know, I understand that. We from Cartersville, so
right.
you
So, but no,
you are what you are.
I've seen some of your posts though
Yeah.
about it,
Mhm.
and one thing I've loved about some of your posts is you talk about the difference between sexuality, gender identity, like sexual preference, and all the different stuff. Because unfortunately, being from Cartersville, there are a lot of people that call everything gay, and it's like, no,
Right.
everything is not just gay. It's not just
Right.
sexual behavior. There's some other stuff that goes into it. And this is not the conversation for the whys because everybody's why is different. And as long as you happy, I'm happy. Just don't disrespect me and we're good. And I think that's how everybody should be. Like, I don't give a fuck what you do in your house. Just don't. Hey, I don't like men. Don't touch my thigh, bro. You
Right.
can holler at me one time, maybe twice. I say no, keep it pushing. You know what I mean? And that's been my adult stance. I can't say that's always been my stance, but fortunately for me, I lived in San Diego for a while, and one of the people that I work closely with,
One of the biggest cities
yeah,
for the people.
yeah, and the guy I work closely with is a homosexual guy, and we had closed office conversations where I could say, "Hey, I'm ignorant as fuck from the South. Like, make me less ignorant, right? Like
Right.
help me learn so that I'm a better person because
Right.
I was raised to think one way, which is totally wrong. I admit that, I accept that I have some views that are outdated. Help update me."
Like white people need to accept
Yep.
being educated by black people.
Yes, absolutely. So, but no, I've seen some of the stuff that you've said, and I appreciate it. Probably never told you that, but I'm telling you now, I appreciate it because
I
coming,
don't remember what I posted.
it was a while back. I mean, it was
Okay.
probably a
You
year or
you
two
done
ago.
your research. Okay.
Let me tell you, like, no. I enjoy mess on Facebook. Like, I log on to Facebook
To
just
be
to read
fair.
people's bullshit. But it gives me content
Okay.
because it's a lot of stuff that I don't live because I
That's
live
true.
in a pretty pampered bubble where I don't. The problems
Yeah,
that a lot of people are having,
you in
I don't have.
California.
Huh?
You in California.
Yes, but then also like m- I'm more of an introvert than people will believe. So a lot of societal issues don't affect me because of just the people that I'm around, the money that we make, and not to like throw that out. But it's just I get to avoid a lot of bullshit, and I ain't got kids, so I ain't got baby mama problems, and I
Mm.
ain't throwing out money for kids and all that extra shit that a lot of people my age are dealing with. But when you hear people say some of this dumb shit, what do you want? What do you want people to know about the LGBT community that the ignorant person who just doesn't get it?
I mean, I just want them to know, like, you gotta focus on yourself because is your home happy? Like, you sitting here talking mess, but it's like, is your home happy? Like, I've seen some comments, and sometimes I even understand where those comments come from. Um, but yeah, so when people talk about, I think like one of my memories that popped up was the Dwayne Wade son situation, like the other day.
That's what it was.
Okay, so yeah, that was my memory the other day, and I remember me just being really vocal, and I'm like, why the fuck did I even take time to post a paragraph and try to make these people understand? Like, I was really like looking at myself like I shouldn't even have posted this.
But no, you should have, because I'm one person who read it. It resonated with me.
Right. So I think that my thing is so many people that's raising their kids and doing so many things around their kids that they don't even realize that is you know, they're being an influence to their children, whether it's cussing or, arguing with the baby daddy on the phone about all these things that they don't even know that when this child grows up, that's the way, that girl is gonna treat men or see men, or that son is gonna see women. Like, they don't know. They just looking at like, oh, gay is just horrible. Like, no kid should see these things or whatever because they're gonna be gay. And it's like, that's not like, everybody is doing things that they probably shouldn't even be doing. But at the same time, I know no parent is perfect. So I'm not judging anybody, but I'm just saying you can't sit there and judge somebody else when like your home is not happy. So I think that's what really upset me, because it's so much going on. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're straight, but you're at home having house parties every Friday, Saturday, twerking in front of your young girls, and then they doing the same. Like, it's all, things that other people can judge you for. So before you point your finger at somebody, like it's four fingers pointing back at you. So it's like, just make sure that you taking care of your home.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's like the people who get upset about seeing more and more like gay stuff on TV, but then they let their kid watch a rated R movie, and it's like, okay, so if you don't think your kid is going to become a murderer from watching a action movie with a
Or
bunch of
playing
killing,
Grand Theft Auto, like,
right? Why do you think your kid is going to become gay just because they see a gay couple in a movie or on a TV show?
that's true. That's true.
Like, I get that to some degree we want to censor our children from certain things that they may or may not understand. I'm not telling people how to raise their kids.
Right.
But
Because I know I wouldn't be a perfect one. Like,
by no means.
I don't think no parent is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But we like to pick and choose.
like me at my age, I'm looking at my parents like, okay, I see what y'all was going through, now that I'm this age. So it's like, no parent is perfect. I don't even try to judge anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation with a friend about some street stuff that I heard, and I was just like, rational me says I would respond this way, but I've never been in the street. I know people are in there, and I like to know what's
Right.
going on over there, but that's not my
That's the
life.
key word, rational. You got to be rational. Like,
Yeah, but rational me would do this, but I don't know what I would do if I were in that situation. But because I'm rational, I don't find myself in those situations. But you talk about parenting, right?
mm-hmm.
And as I started going to therapy, I guess about a month or so ago, month and some change, one of the biggest things that I learned from therapy is how much conditioning I have from my parents. How many good traits, bad traits, whatever traits I got from my upbringing. How
Right.
many how much childhood trauma that I experienced and didn't even know that I experienced it until I talked to a therapist just about something and we peeled back a couple of layers and I go, oh shit,
Right.
that's kind of fucked me up. And I remember this now that we're talking about it. Yeah, this happened when I was 7, and I have not recovered from this the way that I would like to, you know.
Mhm.
And you've talked about therapy, and why don't you think our people go to therapy, and what can people like you and I who go and are comfortable talking about it on our platforms do to help more people go as long as they can afford it?
I think that you said that right there. I think the number one thing is that people think that it's expensive. Well, if you go to openpathcollective.org, you don't have to have insurance or anything. All you do, and this is what I did, I went to openpathcollective.org. And if that ain't right, just DM me. I'll give you the real one because I really can't remember if that's right or not. But this is what I went to. And you don't have to have insurance. You find therapists that you think will be fitting for you. And you, like for me, I seen 5 therapists and I wrote down their email and I emailed them and told them, hey, $30 is my budget. Like that's it. Like straight up. And like two or three wrote me back, and then I narrowed it down from there. Like, okay, she will be the one for me. Like they accepted that, like $30, boom. And so I think that's number one is like people think it's expensive, but I just gave you a resource right there, openpathcollective.org. You don't have to have insurance. You email them people and tell them what your budget is, and they tell you that's cool. Like, the first one is free. Let's, talk about things and see what you're going through, and then we'll start from there. So I think that's the number one thing. And I think number two is just that nobody knows about it, which I'm proud of our generation because I think that we are starting to talk about it more. So it's bringing a lot of awareness to the fact that like it's okay to have a therapist, because I sit and listen to my grandmothers tell stories and I see how ashamed they are to tell the truth. And I think that's what happened. Like, you know, your grandmothers or whoever tell you, like, it's just all swept under the rug. So
Yeah.
I'm part of our generation for now bringing awareness to the fact, like, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? So, but to go back to your point, I think number one, the thing is people think it's expensive. And, I just dropped a resource right there for people that don't have insurance or I'm gonna tell you the truth, I have insurance, but I still went to use that resource because I think sometimes the system is so fucked up that if I went through my insurance, I'd be paying more. You know what I'm saying? So I still use openpathcollective.org and paying $30, you know what I'm saying, every 2 weeks to go to my therapist. So yeah, I think it's just like a money thing and an awareness thing.
Yeah, so if you can afford to smoke reefer and get drunk, you can afford to go to therapy.
That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like I'm gonna have a transparent moment right here and just say that
ooh.
my girl was like, if you can go to Zaxby's, you can afford going to therapy. And I'm like, damn, like Zaxby's, that's it. Like, but once you think about it, like them $8, $9 meals, like add up to $30 quick. So it's like you can afford that. Like, go get a loaf of bread and some sandwich meat, and like if you can't afford that, just save and cut costs and eat at home and do what you need to do to, be a better person and whatever.
And I just think it's so important. And I know some people get tired of hearing it, and other people who are like, "Bro, I don't have any problems. I don't need a therapist." Like, no, no, no. You have problems. I'm not saying that your problems
Right.
overwhelm you, and I'm not saying that you can't be a highly
But
functioning individual.
if them are your homeboys, you hear it all the time.
Oh yeah, I tell my homeboys all the time, I'm like, "Hey, bro, ain't nothing wrong with going to therapy. Ain't nothing wrong with getting in touch with your feelings. There's nothing
Right.
in
You hear them vent to you all the time to the point where you're just like, you gotta
bro.
have some help.
I'm
You
tired of
know?
hearing about what you and your girl going through. It's the same cycle every 2 weeks. I
Because
don't
what it
care.
all boils down to is some childhood trauma stuff that, like, they probably ain't even told you. So how can you, help them if you don't even know what it all boils down to?
And that's the thing about therapy that I think people who don't go miss is that, hey, you're talking to somebody who you can be totally vulnerable with. And the thing is, if you tell them something and you don't want to face them again, you don't have to.
Right.
Whereas you can't tell your friend some of your like most vulnerable moments. You know what I mean? Like I can't tell my friends that, yeah, I struggled for probably about 18, 19 years feeling like I never fit in because I felt like nobody related to me. And
Right.
they'll be like, bruh, but you was cool as fuck. Like we was all I like, yeah. But I didn't feel as welcome as it may have appeared that I felt in that moment because of
Right.
this, and this. You know
And
what I
that's
mean? Like,
your friends don't even mean to be that type of way. The crazy thing is they may be trying to encourage you, but a therapist is going to dig deep into why that even bothers you. So your friends, they're not bad friends. They're just like trying to encourage you, like, bruh, ain't nothing wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. But they're not licensed therapists to be like, okay, well, what triggered this? Because that's the thing. Like, if I get upset today, I'm like, why is this triggering me? And then I go back and I'm like, that's why it triggers me. And it's like,
and I
okay.
think the word the word triggered is so important, right? Because people
Yeah.
are always talking about, oh, that triggered me. Oh, I can't be around this because this triggers me. Look, things are gonna trigger you.
Yeah.
Everything triggers something, for every action, there's the equal opposite reaction, whatever. Right?
Mm,
That's a fucking trigger. But what we have to find is, and just like COVID, we have to learn how to live with our triggers. How
mm,
do we deal with things that will trigger us? Because avoidance doesn't work either. Like, oh, I'm
mm.
not going to do this because this triggers this.
Right. And I think there's a thin line there because it's life. We're gonna have to deal with things. But at the same time, if something is triggering you so bad to the point where, you feel like, it's just fucking you up, like create a boundary. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying because that's true. Like every day, you can't be this angry person and go to McDonald's and something not go your way and it trigger you. And now you cussing everybody out. Like that's just a waste of your energy. So I get what you're saying. But at the same time, like if something is triggering you to the point where you just, don't feel like yourself, like create a boundary. Like you don't have to deal with that. Cut that person off or, don't do this and then be good. So there's like a thin line there. So I get exactly what you're saying because it's like life, you're gonna have problems. Like you gotta learn how to maneuver and adjust, you know.
How do you create boundaries? I'm terrible at creating boundaries. Absolutely. Like my boundaries are awful. I had not many conversations with my ex-girlfriend while we were together. And she was just like, Adam, you got to create boundaries. Like, you don't understand. You allow these people into your space to disturb your peace, and not that it's over the top. You know what I mean? But you just allow these people into your space because you don't create boundaries. Like you don't say no. How did you create boundaries?
I think that it started with my family, like reaching out to my mom and dad and just telling them the truth about how I felt. And then I'm just like, oh, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. So, telling a friend or telling a stranger no, that's gonna be easy. So I think it started with the hard stuff first, you know, the family and telling them no, or either just telling them the truth and creating that boundary and I'm still working on that. Like I'm so nice that it's hard for me to say no. Like I can't lie. Like some people tell me I'm too humble, and it's like really, I just thought that was like common, decency, like respect, like a respect thing. But because I like to show respect because it goes back to that old saying. Like I was raised by my mom and dad, of course, but I was around my grandmother a lot. And, she's just like, treat people how you want to be treated. So I think that I do that a lot. Like, I really treat people that are close to me how I want to be treated. And sometimes I guess that comes off to people as like I'm too humble or I'm too nice. And I get that because I know I do need to create boundaries. So I think that what helped me was starting out with the hard stuff, which it just happened, but creating the boundary with my family, and telling them no and realizing like it feels good to tell people no.
It
I
does.
don't feel bad anymore because it's like I saved that energy for myself because over the years I've just put so much energy into you all right, you okay, whatever. And it's like now I put that energy into myself and it's like it's okay. But the crazy thing is people think that once you learn something, it's all good. Like, okay, I'm good now. But it's like even when I say no, like I just told you, it feels good. But at the same time, that I'm still human. So a little part of me be like, damn, I hate I had to tell them no. But then like
Yeah.
I think that I'm learning so much and evolving so much that after I get past that, damn, I hate I had to tell them no. I'm like, man, it feels good that I didn't have to go do anything for them. Like now I can just chill and put energy into myself. So I think that's the thing. People think that it's either this or that. And it's like, no, like, yes, I've created boundaries and I tell people no, but like I'm still human. And a little part of me is like, I hate that I had to tell them no because I love them, And but after that, after I get over that little moment, after like 5 minutes, I'm just like, I'm glad I told them no.
Man, and that's the thing, don't you hate when you make a decision that's best for you? You know it's the decision that you wanted to make, but at the same time, you let someone down that you care about. And you're sitting there and it's like, well, it was me or you. Either I was going to be doing something I didn't want to do, or I made you unhappy about my decision. And 9 times out of 10, my decision to not do this for you because I don't want to. I'm no longer enabling you or enabling your behavior.
Number
I'm
one,
helping you become better and more resourceful. But at the
fact.
same time, it's still part of you is like, fuck, I didn't want to do
Because
that.
because we're human and like that's just part of us is if you got a big heart, you're just like, damn, I had to tell them no because you want to help them because you've been to church, help thy neighbor, like blah blah blah. And it's like, but there comes a point where you just have to let that person hit rock bottom and figure it out because you helping them is doing nothing but enabling them, like you said.
And the being the good neighbor part, man, I think the most devastating part of it is that when you do things like out of good faith and you realize that you're one of the few people doing it. Like one of the things I've learned by having a few like homegirls and they start telling me some stuff that dudes be telling them and be doing. And then
Hmm.
you be sitting here and you be like, bro, that's how people moving out here in these streets for real. Like
Right.
I thought it was like off limits to Dirty Mac. You know what I mean? Like, don't dap me up and then try to holler at my girl. I don't care if you holler at my girl. That's like I expect her to make the right decision, but don't dap me up if you're gonna do that. You know what I mean? And then you find out,
It's a morals and ethics thing. Like, why
right?
I don't got no morals or ethics? Like, okay.
And then you find out people don't have these morals or ethics, and some of it is stuff that it don't matter to be like somebody that you know who would be like, yeah, bro, I don't be tricking none of that. Then you come, then one of they little tenders let you know that they tricking. I don't care if you tricking. I don't judge you for tricking because I spend my money where I don't want to spend my time. So if I want to maintain a relationship somewhere and I don't necessarily want to spend my time there, I I ain't saying I'm dropping a bag, but I and sometimes I spend my money and my time in one place. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't mind doing nice shit for people. But I put it out there, you know what I'm saying? I'm on the podcast saying it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I spend a little money. And that's me.
Right.
Judge it or not, but I ain't gonna come in to no group chat like hell nah, bro. I ain't tricking on these hoes. What I look like? Nah, I'll
Right.
spend a little something.
It's all about how you feel. You know what I'm saying? And like what you just said reminded me of like when I do say yes, it's like that's because I've done had the conversation with myself. Like this ain't gonna hurt me, and I know I'm doing it for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. Like I hate when people think that it's either this or that. Like this or that. Like I'm telling everybody no, and it's like I'm not telling everybody no. I'm saying yes sometimes, but I've had to have that conversation with myself. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and like that's not gonna hurt me, cause like it's just a conversation with myself, and like I'm good with doing this, and that's okay.
And life isn't yes and no. It's not hot or cold. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
there's so much gray area, nuance to everything. You know what I mean?
and different things, different strokes for different folks. That's the perfect way to just sum that up. Like, everybody's life isn't the same. So
So we've had a great conversation.
we have.
And I've oh my God, I've enjoyed this. And in this conversation, I want to say thank you because had you not showed up to my live show, I don't think we end up here. For one,
Right.
thanks for coming to that event because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little disappointed having the event because
Which event?
the live show I did 2 summers ago, where we end up
Or
chopping it up
downtown. Yep.
downtown, yeah. Because I had so many people hit me up about it, reposting the flyer and not showing up. It's like, hey, bro, I want your support, but if you're not gonna support me, don't fake support me. Like I want real support. And you showed up, didn't have to show up. We had a great conversation,
Mm.
and that got us here. That got the wheels turning for us to do this.
Right.
And for one, next time I'm in Georgia, I want to get in the same room with you and
Yeah,
LaDon.
just hit
And
me up. That's the thing, we're like you said, you're an introvert also, so it's like you don't really even be knowing about stuff, or hell, you don't even know your vibe and like what you really want to do until you get here. So, just hit me up if you
I
feeling.
got you. Cause look, here's what I tell a lot of people. Cause people will get mad. They be like, "Dang, bro, you was home. You ain't." Here's what I do. I wake up, I bullshit for a little while, and then I go sit at VJ's house. And I sit at VJ's house for a very long time. And if you don't frequent VJ's house, you just won't see me. And it's not that I don't want to see you, it's that I don't drink and drive. So I get to VJ's house, I get to drinking. I know I can sleep there, so I'm not leaving.
Right.
And I don't invite nobody to nobody else's house.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but no, but I really do want to get in a room with you and LaDon, my nigga Terrence, and just chop it up with y'all. Not even on some creating content. Maybe
Right.
create content, but
Right.
just kicking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having some good conversation and some good vibes. Is there anything else you want the people to know before we end this one?
I think that I want people to know, because this is something that I'm going through right now, is to make sure that you are finding happiness within yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like so many people, are in relationships, and I see that, and even myself. But nothing is going to work until you work on that. Just finding happiness, whether it's, I don't know, learn how to go out to eat by yourself, to go do these things by yourself, and just find happiness within yourself. Because, you know, like me, for so long, me being family oriented and always being around my family, like being around people made me happy, people that I was comfortable around. But then I realized, as we get grown, like you have to find happiness within yourself, um outside of even finding the love of your life, because somebody can be the love of your life, but like that shit ain't gonna work unless like you happy, because
Love ain't
you
enough.
cannot what.
Love ain't enough. You need more than
Yeah,
love to make the relationship work.
how can you pour into somebody else if you ain't even pouring into yourself? Whether that's like what we talked about earlier, me going to the gym and just shooting, doing things that I love outside of even music, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I just want to tell the people, make sure that you're out here, creating happiness with yourself and figuring out what makes you happy other than people, because people are temporary. So I think once people find happiness within themselves, that you know they'll just be happier, and that'll just radiate, and that'll trickle over into somebody else's life, you know, that you love. And, you know, you'll just be leading by example at that point. And, you know, what goes on from there is just whatever, but just find happiness within yourself.
I think that's super important. And I loved
So,
how you close it out by focusing on the people
yeah,
because, again, that's what you do in your music. You're focused on the people and you take your experiences and you tell a story for us, the
right.
consumer.
And remind you, I'm not trying to preach, because these are things that I'm going through. So even though I'm saying finding happiness, it's not like I've done found it. Like, I'm still every day waking up, praying, and, you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to find happiness within myself.
I'm
So it's not things that I've mastered, you know. So
shining, always gonna be gold. But hey, Syd, this was great. I'm about to close out the show, but don't hang up yet. I'm gonna chop it up with you real quick before I let you go. Hey, thank you so much. This was
thank
great.
you.
Loved having you on. We're gonna do some more shit because I got
Yeah,
some ideas in my pocket that I ain't talked to nobody about. And there's some stuff that I want to build with a few creators back from the crib just to help everybody help themselves. You know what I mean?
the
Big
vision
baby,
is clear.
yeah!